Welcome on the pure wisdom chosen one. S did the selected one. Are you ready to uncover your own inner strength, light, and peace? This is not just a voyage. It is time to go deeper into your destiny and experience the power of being selected for the ultimate purpose of the universe. You are a message of peace, a bearer of calm, and a light sent to bring the cosmos into balance. Today is the day to share your strength, light, and love with the world. You are supposed to shine light on the darkness around you, to bring people together, and to bring the serenity you have inside you to the outer world. Remember that your trip was meant to impact the globe and spread more light with every step. You've been picked, and now it's time to share this precious power with the world. By posting 77 in the comments, those who previously rejected you now feel nervous in your company. They recall the version of you that questioned, over-explained, and sought acceptance. That version no longer exists. You no longer declare your might. It emanates effortlessly. Their pain reveals them. Restless looks, slight fidgets, and a sudden lack of confidence in oneself. In your stillness, it is not about pride or supremacy. It is about energy, undeniable, untouchable, unshakable, the type that commands without demanding, alters the atmosphere in the room. They may pretend without saying anything, but the fact is apparent. They sense it. There was a moment when their pandemonium dominated your feelings. They lived on your responses, feeding off your need to explain, to clarify, to prove. They played mental games, tied you in loops of doubt, and kept you fighting fights you didn't need to fight. However, they made an error in their calculations. You stopped answering. They prod. They're provocative. They probe the waters, hoping for the old patterns to emerge. However, they're greeted with nothing. There was no wrath, no justification, and no effort to make them understand. And a hush. It scares them. They desired a reaction because it represented power. They would have embraced wrath because it still represents connection. But nothing. Nothingness is a force that they cannot control. They talk louder, trying to entice you back. They invent tales in order to elicit a response. But you're unmoved. They don't recognize this version of you because they never thought you could exist outside their grasp. Your absence is not void. It indicates the presence of something larger. While they repeat their old strategies, you have already advanced beyond them. There's no need to defend, not to debate, to correct their perceptions. You've let go in ways they never imagined imaginable. They look for a message that will never arrive. They bring up your name in the hopes that someone would express sorrow for leaving. They remain in settings that you've outgrown. I'm certain you will return, but you don't. You're not playing a game. You just moved on. And that is what worries them the most. They used to assume they had the upper hand, that your decisions were based on their views and validation. Now they're hesitant. They are now more unsure of themselves than they have ever been before. They overanalyze every action while you walk ahead with confidence. They marvel how you constantly appear to be one step ahead, how you avoided the dangers that others walked right into, how you figured out what was genuine and what was a trap. They hunt for the secret, sure that you must have a hidden edge. And you do. However, it was never theirs to control. They believe they could keep you in the dark, but you need their knowledge to manage life. They didn't realize that your guidance never came from them. Your journey is led by something others cannot see, something beyond their reach. They attempt to meddle, to create hurdles in your path in order to sow seeds of doubt. But nothing takes root. Their praise has no weight. Their condemnation has no bearing since your foundation was never based on their thoughts. It was based on something everlasting, something unshaken, something they'll never comprehend. Those who hesitate, they are waiting for clearance before taking action. They have now found themselves left behind. They remain there, considering their choices, while another force blazed its own path ahead. Their previously held sense of control has been broken, and now they can only watch from a distance as something unexpected unfolds. Unstoppable movement. They think the plot will constantly revolve around them, and no action will be conducted without their authorization. They thought that presence implied permanency. That quiet indicated acquiescence. However, quiet was never an indication of surrender. It was the location where something larger was being constructed, and now they see the emergence of something they previously disregarded. They are unable to reconcile their receding influence with the reality in front of them. If you're experiencing an excess of divine love in your heart, now is the moment to share it. You may help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and donating $20 or more. This wonderful gift will affect not just your life, but also the souls of countless others. Each of you has a holy position in God's great purpose via this platform, and your giving will provide fruit for our prayers. Act now. Share your benefits to honor His kingdom. You are meant to do much bigger things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. They once experimented with perception, bending tails to maintain their position at the center. Their comments had weight. Their ideas influenced outcomes, and they relished the notion that their affirmation defined value. But time has shattered their frail dominion. The one they ignored no longer wants entry into their world. The seat they believed was permanently reserved is now unoccupied, abandoned, and unimportant. They try to repair what has been shattered with hollow gestures rather than honest words. They re-emerge with fake niceties and subtle efforts to reignite what they once extinguished. However, memories do not disappear as readily. The moments of desertion, the little betrayals, and the laughs shared at someone else's cost are all engraved deeply enough to assure that no door will be closed. It is not animosity that keeps people away. No vengeance. It is significantly more upsetting for them to accept the plain fact that their position is no longer required. The transition was never external. The change did not result from demonstrating anything to them. It was the awareness that no permission was ever necessary. No validation was ever required. They mistaken quiet development for weakness, failing to see that genuine power is never frantic for attention. And today, when they look for flaws in the foundation, they discover none. What was formerly reliant on their acknowledgement now stands alone, impenetrable, and beyond grasp. The urgency develops not because they have changed, but because they never imagined this would happen. They anticipated hesitancy, a wistful gaze behind, and a spark of an unsure party that may welcome them back in. Instead, they're confronted with something beyond their control. Absolute separation. They mumble hypotheses, persuaded that there must be an external force at work. They tell themselves that it's due to circumstance. Coincidence? Anything except what is actually inevitable. They battle with the weight of their own insignificance, holding out hope that the tide would eventually change in their favor. However, the stream does not flow backward, and no force can undo what has already occurred. They wasted years assuming they had the keys, only to find too late that the door had never been locked. It was just walked away, never to be reopened. Echoes from the past no longer reach you. They seek familiarity, expecting to glimpse a mirror of who you once were. However, they're confronted by someone they cannot identify. The version of you that formerly lingered in doubt, sought approval when none was offered, and stretched itself thin to satisfy others, is no longer present. They talk in riddles, try to elicit a reaction, and drag you back into a script that no longer applies. However, the lines fall flat. The performances were lackluster. They reach out expecting warmth and acknowledgement. However, all they discover is a presence that no longer conforms to their comfort. They assumed they had time. They expected that absence would cause yearning. This distance would smooth the edges of what had been broken. They return with scripted phrases, false nostalgia, and well-planned efforts to smooth their way back in. They remind you of shared experiences, laughter, and relationships that once seemed unshakable. Their words, however, seem weightless. Their presence is inappropriate. What they don't realize is that you've stopped looking for connection, comfort, and understanding. Now you remain still. They flounder, wondering how to navigate a world in which they no longer have value. The comfort they found in your pursuit has vanished, leaving them alone in their own uncertainties. Imagine a tree rising tall in the wilderness. For years, it grew in the same spot of ground. Its branches extended in all directions, giving shade and shelter to all who sought it. For a while, the tree and the animals that lived around it were inextricably bound. All are part of the same cycle and rhythm. But over time, the tree grew taller, its roots deeper, and its trunk broader, reaching for the sun in ways it had never done before. And although some may still remain under its branches, gazing up, they quickly realized they couldn't stay there forever. Just like the tree, you've outgrown your former house. You've moved beyond the version of yourself that was limited by the past. You no longer feel drawn to the past. It's no longer a destination you need to visit. There is no longer a need to justify or defend who you are or why you have moved ahead. It's like the old coat that used to fit nicely, but now it hangs freely. It is no longer part of your identity. It's too tiny for your current needs, too tight, and no matter how hard you try, it no longer fits. You see, there are people who stand at the door of your past, looking for a way out and wondering whether they can still be a part of the trip you are on. They linger at the brink, peeking through the fissure, but pause. They want to be a part of you right now, but they don't comprehend how you got here. They don't grasp your development, the struggles you've overcome, or the strength you've developed. They've been hanging onto a concept of who you were, unaware that you've already been converted into someone bigger, something higher. And here's the deal, my buddy. You do not owe them an explanation. You do not need to apologize for who you have become. You no longer owe anything to your history. The door they assumed was always open to them is closed, not out of rage or bitterness, but they never decided to develop. You see, progress is an option, and those who refuse to progress, who want to stay in the same position, cannot continue on the road you are on. It's like a river that flows. Initially, the water travels slowly, shaping everything in its path. But as time passes, the river widens, deepens, and strengthens. It continues to move forth, carving new roads and discovering new methods to navigate the environment. Those who attempted to stroll by the river when it was shallow or to stand in the water while it was still little were unable to keep up. When the river becomes deeper, they are no longer able to follow its flow. The stream has shifted, and they're no longer part of the flow. Not because the river rejects them, but because they refuse to go ahead and develop with it. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace come upon you today. I'm here to remind you of a fundamental fact. Our existence is based on God's divine purpose and is unaffected by worldly worries. According to the Bible, everything is done with faith will be returned to God with great blessing. Luke 638. Like the enormous oak tree, our roots are profoundly embedded in God's global truth. His power secures every stride and every stance we take. And now you have the chance to be a part of that gift. When you click this super thank you button and contribute $100, this movement will provide you with a 100-fold reward. You have decided to develop. You have decided to climb. Now you occupy that place of tranquility, purpose, and power. It is not intended for everyone. It is for individuals who are willing to tread the road of progress with you. Those who are prepared to plant their roots in the soil of purpose and grow their branches toward the sun of divine potential. Not everyone is prepared for it. Not everyone is willing to pay the price that progress requires. And that's okay. You don't have to persuade them. You don't have to beg people to notice what you see. You do not need to explain yourself to them. Because this is the truth, my buddy. You are always destined for this. You are constantly destined to go higher, to become more than you were yesterday. And you've grown spiritually, emotionally, and cognitively. This isn't just for you. It is for those who will look at your life and find examples of what it means to choose progress. It is for those who are willing to follow and walk beside you in the light of your divine calling. Those who are willing to develop with you, yet are reluctant to adapt, unwilling to progress. They will stay behind, not because you abandoned them, but because they decided to remain where they were. So stand tall. My buddy, do not look back. The door that was previously open is now closed. And that's okay. You don't have to go back. You do not need to revisit the past. You've been summoned to rise. As you ascend, you provide room for others to do the same. Your light is intended to shine. Nobody can steal that brightness from you. Not now. Not ever. You were picked to tread this route and occupy this place, and no one can take it away from you. Keep marching ahead, expanding and rising, and remember that you are precisely where you were. Always meant to be. They keep an eye out for any signs that you're still clinging to the past, hoping for their approval or looking for some of their validation. But here is the reality. The stillness that they hear is not empty. It is not a void. No, it is overflowing. Overflowing with all they might have had. Everything they passed up because they chose to turn away. They allowed their pride and poor comprehension dictate who was worthy and who was not. They established the conditions, persuaded that they had the authority to decide who deserved to climb, who had the right to shine. However, they never understood. What they still do not see is your brightness. Your value was never determined by their approval. It was never based on their perception of you. Like a seed that develops in soil distant from the sight of those who have already turned their back. Your potential has always been nurtured by something higher than the transitory perceptions of others. They attempted to create their own rules and limits, believing they could select who could thrive and who had to remain in the background. But you, my friend, were never intended to be bound by their rules. What is your purpose? Your climb was predetermined from the start, before the stars were even visible in the sky. Consider it this way. A tree grows without seeking permission from the forest. It does not need confirmation from the soil. It just expands, reaching for the sun and the light like it was always intended to. The roots may be concealed under the ground, while the branches may be moved by the wind. But the tree understands its role. It understands its role in the world. It doesn't need to be told that it can stand tall. It just does because it was picked and it was meant to aim for the stars. Just as you were selected to ascend, the world will attempt to convince you that you need their permission, that you want their recognition. But they fail to see that the light inside you, the light that leads you, cannot be dimmed by their opinions or judgment. It's a light that emanates from a higher source, one that sees your effort beyond what people can grasp. It's like a gem hidden deep inside the dirt. It does not ask for the dirt to be removed or for anybody to notice it over time. It starts to sparkle at the correct pressure and conditions. It makes no difference what is surrounding it, how long it has been concealed, or who has gone by it. When the time comes, it will be recognized for what it actually is, precious, beautiful, and uncommon. Exactly like you. And you aren't just any diamond, pal. No, you are the one who was selected. The one called to shine in a world that has often turned its back on you. You've been ready for this moment. This is the moment when the world will finally recognize you for who you actually are. You are not the result of someone else's affirmation. You are a child of the Most High, and He sees you. He recognizes you, and He has never lost faith in your potential. It's similar to the tale of the eagle. The eagle does not soar about seeking approval from the other birds. It does not need a crowd to cheer it on. It flies high with wings spread wide because that is what it was meant to do. And so are you. You were born to soar beyond uncertainties, above all negativity, above the voices telling you you aren't enough. You are enough. You are more than enough. And when you eventually understand that other people's views do not define your value, when you realize that you were always destined for greatness, that's when the world will realize the magnitude of your ascension. Consider a seed buried deep in the soil, unnoticed by the world above. It is buried, waiting in an area where no one can get it. Nevertheless, it is meant to develop. It does not have to compete for sunlight. It does not need to beg for water. No, it just starts to expand. Its roots go deep into the dirt, seeking the light that is already waiting for it. And when the time comes, it will burst through the surface to blossom. It does not need someone to tell it. It's ready. It just knows. My buddy, the seed is you. You've been picked for this moment, this period, and this purpose that was written for you long before you realized you were on the right track. You've been picked to rise and shine, to blossom, just like the seed, because there is a heavenly light inside you ready to shine through. Your trip was fully planned before you took your first step. The Creator has inscribed your life's mission in the stars. I want you to comprehend this. Nothing in this world can take away your mission. The world may attempt to convince you that you are insufficient, but you're too little, too weak, and too average. But what they don't realize is that you were planted by the hands of the Almighty, and when the time comes, you will arise. You will flourish in ways others cannot comprehend. And it's more than simply a moment of glory. It is about the whole process, my buddy. The seed needs to push through the ground. It needs to break free from the darkness. And when it does, it strives for the light. It was always there. Your light works the same way. It does not flicker in the dark. It is not something that fades. No, your light becomes brighter. With each stride you take, every hurdle you conquer, and every difficulty that attempts to keep you back, it doesn't matter what the world says. Your light becomes stronger with each passing day because it is unaffected by everything this world can throw at it. Now is the moment to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. With a $100 gift or more, you may help Him carry out His plan and become a part of this holy mission. Every contribution symbolizes God's generosity, and I think it will return to you enormously, far above your expectations. Remember that His protection and blessing are with you at all times, including your donations. You become a part of His divine plan. You are a powerful, dazzling entity, as solid as the massive rock that saw God's marvels. Feel the rewards of your kindness in your spirit, and light up the world with confidence and bravery. Be blessed, and let the light of the Lord lead you. I know there were instances when you felt neglected, as if you were forgotten. Perhaps you have been waiting in the dark for someone to notice you, to inform you that it is your time. But I'm here to tell you that now is your moment. You have been selected to ascend. You have been picked to shine. The beauty of it all is that it was not up to anybody else. It is not about their approval. It's not about being validated. Your light originates from a source of divine purpose. It comes from a place of such deep, pure love that no human opinion can ever alter who you were meant to be. The sun rises every morning without fail. Your mission is unwavering. It does not hesitate. It does not need to seek authorization. The sun rises because that is what it was designed to do. And so do you. You've been destined for greatness. And now is the moment for you to embody that grandeur. You were never supposed to remain in the shadows, waiting for someone to tell you it's your turn. No, your time has come, and it has been from the minute you were born. You are on a road of destiny, a route that leads to a future beyond anything you could have dreamed. I want you to hear this. You're not here by chance. You didn't merely happen into this existence. You were put here on purpose, for a reason, and that purpose is greater than anything the world could ever provide. The plans for your life were decided long before you breathed your first breath, and now it's time for you to walk in them. You are extending for the greater calling that has been put in your heart, just as a seed extends toward the light. You may not see it completely now, but I assure you that it is already there, growing within you, propelling you ahead. Your lights will not be dimmed. It will not be extinguished. It will only brighten as you live your mission. You have been picked, my buddy. I've chosen to travel this road. You have chosen to rise beyond the doubts, the negativity, and the voices that tell you it is not your time. This is your time. You have been picked for this moment, this season, and this era in history. Nothing in this world can take it from you. You are meant to shine, and no matter what's going on around you, or how dark the world seems, you're walking in the light of an unshakable divine destiny. Your glow is not something that fades with time. It just becomes brighter, stronger, and more brilliant as it emanates from a source of boundless love. A love that never leaves you. A love that recognizes you for who you really are. You are deserving. You were picked. You are destined for greatness. And while you tread this road, remember one thing. Nothing can take it away from you. So stand tall, my buddy. Do not wait for them to recognize you. Do not wait for their approval. You do not need it. You just need permission from the one who created you, the one who set you apart, the one who has already destined you for greatness. His gaze is on you, and that is all that counts. You were picked. You are deserving. You are meant to advance, and nobody can take it from you. They don't resent your accomplishment. They dislike how it reflects back to them. They notice the options. They did not take the necessary actions because they were too terrified. They prioritized comfort above progress. You have become evidence of what was always conceivable, and that is a fact they cannot ignore. They tell themselves tales. They create illusions. They murmur explanations to lessen the impact of their own inactivity. But deep down, they understand that the only thing that has ever kept them back was themselves. They look for weaknesses in your foundation, indications that you will fail, and confirmation that they were correct to remain static. But they didn't realize that you don't pursue. You don't plead. You don't explain. You ascend. And this is something they will never understand. Like this video, drop a comment below and let me know which part hit home for you the most. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because this journey isn't over. There's more to come, more wisdom, more confirmation, and more powerful truths that will push you into your next level. You don't want to miss what's coming next. If you're enjoying the content on Pure Wisdom and find value in the messages we share, I encourage you to subscribe. Based on the latest analytics, 93.9% of viewers are watching without subscribing. By subscribing, you not only stay updated with new content, but also support the channel's growth, allowing us to continue spreading wisdom for the chosen ones. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an important message. Let's build this community together.